right, Bill kind of set me up for failure. Now we can eat. I'm sorry. Got a few quick words to say, and I will tell you. My grandma actually held up a butter knife and said, "Don't say anything to embarrass me." So I'm feeling a little bit of pressure right now. But first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody and thank everyone for being here tonight. I am, for those of you who I don't know, my name is Neil Dengler. I'm Dolores' favorite grandson.
You're her only grandson so far.
Sit down. So I'm going to go through. It's been 100 years, so I'm going to go through each year. No, just kidding. We're going to keep it short and sweet. But just to put everything into perspective, in 1917, sugar was 4 cents a pound. Only 6% of Americans graduated from high school. 90% of physicians had no college education, which might explain why my grandmother was placed in a shoebox after she was born. True story, right?
Shoebox.
You were in a shoebox.
Yes.
True story. So Dolores' secrets to making it 100. She's had a wonderful supporting cast. So she's had my Uncle Rob, who I see straight ahead. She's had my mother. Mom, where are you? Somewhere, okay. And she has had my Aunt Sue,
Right here.
Sue, who has been planning this party for like 40 years now. She's had her grandkids, she's had her great-grandkids, and she had a Bob along the way. Bob, I'm sure everyone knew Bob. Bob was her better half, some might say, but they complemented each other perfectly. Bob did all the cooking, all the laundry. Bob was her rock. Bob didn't do any cooking, and he didn't do any laundry, ever. But he was her rock, and he was a great guy, and I guarantee you he's smiling down on all of us tonight. She ate healthy. She did a ton of cooking. Every time I go over there would be fry cakes, donuts, you name it. She would double the ingredients, so whatever lard was required or whatever butter, heavy cream, she would fry the hell out of everything. She kept weird hours. I remember when I was in college, I actually lived upstairs from her for about 2 months, and I remember coming home real late one night, the only one up in all of Amherst. I see this little silhouette go walking by the window at like 3:30 a.m. Right? She still does it. It's amazing, but whatever. It's her secret to longevity. And she gets good medical care. I can remember many pop-in visits from paramedics over the years, including recently. I think you got them on speed dial now? Yeah. Right? But I remember one about 25 years ago, Christmas Day, there were paramedics over. My grandma was having trouble breathing. True story. And she was so upset because they were coming into her bedroom and everything was dusty and it was unkept, and she started cleaning up. So she's had good medical care over the years. I'd just like to close by thanking everybody. I know many of you came in from out of town tonight. I think that's awesome. We appreciate that. I know it's not easy getting into Buffalo this time of year, but we appreciate you guys doing that. It means so much to have each and every one of you here tonight. So let's all raise our glasses to Dolores. Glass. We're going to start planning 105 pretty soon, but for tonight, let's celebrate 100. Here. Now we can really eat. Dilly.
And so thank you so much. And the centerpiece that has Franco, that's for my dad, because my dad's here at every table. So thank you so much for attending. And my sister is going to say a few words when she gets here. Enjoy the rest of the night.
I want to thank you all so much. Family, friends,
I like that.
neighbor, number one neighbor, aunts. Your mom is an aunt to some of you folks here. Her cousins were supposed to come, but they weren't able to come today. But certainly all the family and friends that are here today, I thank you so much. My head's kind of not screwed on right now because I had a little mishap on the way to the forum here. But anyhow, on your invitations on the RSVP, we had asked people to write a little memory that you might have of Mom. And that was for this memory quilt that I made her. And Mom, this is a memory quilt for you. And in each one of the little envelopes, there are memories that people wrote down about you. All different kinds of things, so you can read them over and over, and you'll enjoy. So when you're not watching the Shark Tank, or the soap operas, you can read all your messages, and you can read them over and over and over again. So this is a silk quilt that I made for her that I started back in August to get a good head start, knowing that I would run into problems. My grandma, Mom's mom, taught me how to sew, and my cousin Georgianne over there, she was one of the recipients of the sewing lessons. And I'm working on teaching my granddaughter Bryn how to sew too. And hopefully I get Molly in on the act too sometime. But anyhow, whenever I start a project, I know I always run into all kinds of problems. So I figure, well, you just rip it out and do it again. So I started this in August, and then life kind of got in the way. We traveled and did a lot of different things. And everything was going so smoothly, I thought, how come this is happening? This doesn't usually happen. And then, of course, when one has that thought, one runs into a lot of problems. So the silk started fraying, and all kinds of stuff were happening along the way. So my wonderful husband said, you are not supposed to point out your mistakes in the quilt. So hopefully you did like perhaps a lot of cataracts, including myself. Maybe you won't notice the imperfections here. But it's a labor of love, and it's a labor of love from all of you who are here and who shared your sentiments and all the wonderful things that you've done for my mom, with my mom, over the years. And you all know about her, you know, as the co-anchor of WKBW. She's some fierce words from that strong leader, that Dolores, when she went out to vote.
Thank you for
on the election day, 100-year anniversary for women's right to vote. Let's hear it for women here. Yes. One little thing I want to share with you. You all knew my dad. And you all knew what a fabulous man he was. And before Dad passed, I asked him if he would send me messages. And in his way, he chuckled. And he said, sure, I will if I know how to do it. So I said, well, if you do, I'd love it, but if you're not supposed to, don't do it. And if it kind of impedes where you're supposed to go, don't do it. But he does. He sends me messages all the time. They started with lights. I mean, I was at a restaurant shortly after he died, a big restaurant like this, and I was sharing about his death with a neighbor friend. And at that very moment, the lights went out in the entire restaurant. And there was just all this quiet murmuring. And when the waitress came back, she said, it's never happened before. I don't know what happened. So I would say over the past year and a half, he has sent me these remarkable, just incredible messages with hearts. So I always thank him when I get them. All kinds of things. It might be nature, it might be in a piece of fruit. It's just remarkable places. So when I started this quilt in August, getting a head start, which is not necessarily my style, I was ironing this piece of silk, and I noticed there was a flaw in the fabric. And I looked at it, and I'm sharing the story because I want you all to look closely when you see the quilt on display. And in this piece of fabric is a perfectly shaped heart with a line going down, which I think of like 2 little teardrops. So at that very moment, I said, okay, Dad, this is the card from you to Mom. And then I snooped around her house and I found his signature on a card where he wrote, Love Bob. So that's written on the back of it. So here's Dad's card, Mom, for you. And everybody else's cards are in here so you can read them and enjoy them. And I thank you all so much for your thoughts and your words and for trying to follow whatever I said.
I don't know what to say. I am so lucky. I am so proud that I have such
in advance. But this is a favorite song of mine that no pressure, Chris, that I hope one day I'll be able to dance with one of my daughters. But I thought it was good for you too, Mom. You'll like it, okay? So. Someday, when I'm awfully low, when the wind is cold, I will feel a glow just thinking of you and the way you look tonight. And your lovely, with your smile so warm and your cheeks so soft, there is nothing for me but to love you just the way you look tonight. With each word, your tenderness grows, tearing my fear apart. And that laugh that wrinkles your face, no, touches my foolish heart. Love, leave, and never ever change. Keep that breathless charm. Won't you please arrange it? 'Cause I love you just the way you look tonight.